Hello and welcome to the Straight In No Kissing podcast. What better name? So you're going, what the fuck is Straight In No Kissing? Well, we were sitting here, and we is myself and Mr. Mobility Tutor, Robbie Cassidy, and we decided that we would record a podcast. And we also decided, good man Robbie, shut the door. Robbie's shutting the door there because there's a fucker next door with a big drill, and he's been drilling for the last 2 days, non-stop. 7 a.m. in the morning until 7 p.m. at night, and he's working for it. So anyway, yeah, basically we decided we'd do a podcast, but instead of having a really structured podcast, which we have done previously, we just said we'd jump on, hit record, and have a chat about life, and here we are. So before we jumped on, we said no notes, no planning, straight in, no kissing. So welcome to the Straight In No Kissing podcast.
I love the name, but I absolutely love the name. So I suppose we'll have to start somewhere or another. So I suppose the easiest way is may as well run by where we are at the moment and what we're doing, the whole lot. So we're out here. I've been out in Tenerife for the last 3 months now, 3.5 months nearly. And I got onto Dobbs there a week ago. I'd say you weren't too long. So
It didn't take long.
It didn't take too much persuading. I said, would you come out for just for a week? So he said he'd drop by, he'd swing out, and here we are. So we said we may as well do this podcast. Just we were going to do one anyway, but at least this way we can talk through whatever we need to. Any starting points on that? Do you want to give a rundown of how you got here?
Yeah, basically. Also, I want to just throw in there that I'm staying here for another week as well, if you'll have me, because fuck it, the weather is too good.
Jesus, we may as well.
The lifestyle is too good. I think somewhere that would be a good place to kind of start and chat, because we've both gone our own journeys to kind of get where we are now, and I'm sure there'll be some lessons within those journeys. But something, and we've talked about this before, is when people say that you're very lucky to be in Tenerife, or you're very lucky to be able to move around and work in the sun, because obviously not everyone can do that right now. And like, yes, we are fortunate, absolutely, but I would say lucky is a little bit misleading, because it doesn't acknowledge the amount of work and basically the hustle over, for me personally, the last maybe 2.5, 3 years, and for you even longer than that, because you've been remotely working for longer than I have. Just talk about your journey maybe to get here, and like where that all started, because you didn't just appear in Tenerife in the sun working from the laptop. That all started somewhere.
Yeah. No, definitely that's I suppose definitely a good starting point for it. So I started this when I was just out of college. I was probably 21. I started back. So I'd finished up my undergrad, which was athletic rehabilitation, and I took a year out. So in the year out, I said I may as well start something to be working on in the meantime. And I had it in my mind, and I had said it to you at that time, that once I finished, I knew I was going to be going into a master's. Once I finished that, I want to be able to just work away, and not going to be tied down to a certain position, because I know for me anyway, that type of lifestyle, I always wanted to go travelling. I always wanted to head away and try out new places, and I've done a good bit of my life so far. I've been lucky enough to. But I wanted to make it the point that I'll go out and do it myself, and I don't want to be relying on anyone else to do it. So that's why I got started with it, and I wanted to do something that I was interested in, and I was obviously always interested in health through sports and exercise and through school and all that. We were always tied into that, even though we did go different ways for a small while, but we did kind of come back again. So I started that, and I've been working on it I was doing a master's in physio in UL for 2 years or 20 months. I suppose it was, but in the meantime I've been building that since then. So I wouldn't say it's luck by any chance that we're out here at the moment, for me anyway. I've been working on it for 8 hours a day for the last 3 years, probably 4 years. So we've been lucky that way, in terms of we knew what we wanted at the right time. And it's a similar story for yourself, is it, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Look, COVID is a bit of a disaster. Not a bit of a disaster, it's a major fuck up, everywhere for pretty much everyone. But I was lucky, I'm saying lucky again, I was fortunate, not lucky, not lucky to be here, but fortunate that the timing of COVID kind of aligned with the timing of me wanting to have an online business, and it kind of put me in a position where, okay, sink or swim, because it was either sit back and try and get the COVID payment, which didn't interest me at all when the gyms closed, or get to work and make this a reality. So yeah, but I mean, in terms of the workload before that, I mean, you know, there was so much work just to get in a position where you're actually able to think about starting an online fitness business.
Yeah.
Like when I was working in a bar in New York, I was working 6 days a week, like 10, 12-hour shifts, and really, really working. And like in that 6 months, I did a precision nutrition online course as well, which again, like, you know, it's not a master's or anything like that, but it was a sizable chunk of time and a sizable commitment while I was already extremely busy. And I remember being like run off my feet then, and like really having to make myself do the work. But like we said, that work and that hustle 3 years ago, when it's actually probably exactly 3 years ago, maybe slightly over actually, because I think I came home in January. So like we're reaping the rewards. Well, I'm certainly reaping the rewards of the work I did 3 years ago, 2 years ago, in the last year. And it's only really now that I'm getting to enjoy those rewards and I'm in a kind of position. But I think it's important for people to know that anything you see somebody doing like that, it's not luck. It does come down to, okay, hard work. And that's not just for, you know, somebody who is running an online business. It's for somebody who is doing anything. If you want to get in the best shape of your life, you don't get there by being lucky. You get there by the small bits of work you put in consistently, and basically the amount of shit you're willing to eat, and like the amount you're willing to put up with, and the patience that you have.
Yeah, definitely. And I should actually throw back to, I just missed out on a part, and I may as well say it now, is it was actually my brother who put me on to a guy, Paul Dermondy, originally.
I know Paul. He's been on my podcast. Has he been on your podcast?
No, he hasn't been on mine yet. Actually, I must get him on. But it was him. It was my brother Ivan who actually put me on to him. And he said, you should talk to this guy. He's kind of doing similar to what you want to do. And it was Paul who kind of gave me the direction at the start in terms of, this is what you have to do, this is where you have to go, and so you have to get there. So you do need that along the way at times. You definitely do need someone to point you in the right direction at different times. And I think he was good for that. At that time, it was excellent. It really put me in the right position. And then as you go up along and as you start working through it, because I know a lot of people here who are probably listening to this have an idea in their head that they'd like to follow through it. They'd like to try something out, or they'd like to go a different way, or some people would like to work online, or be able to work remotely. I know a lot of people who are listening to this probably would want to be able to do that. And it's something that's definitely achievable. You just need to know where to start, or when to start, or what to do. But you have to be willing to put in, as we were saying, you have to be willing to put in those couple of years where you're getting no return and you're spending your evenings doing it, and you're getting nothing out of it. You have to be willing to do that for a couple of years and expect that nothing's going to come back. But if anyone who is listening to this and is interested in how to get started or what to do, definitely reach out to either of us, and we could set you on the right path as well. But yeah, jumping on from that, then it'd be interesting, I think, to talk about, since you've been working in fitness industry and what we've been doing and all that, how do you reckon your mindset has changed towards health since you've been working here and working with clients? And do you think your philosophy has changed at all, or is it the same for the start, or what would you say is playing into it at the moment, or how would you say you look at it at the moment?
It's a good question. I think it's definitely changed. So like for me, I went from extreme, so you kind of touched on it there, where at one point, certainly for me anyway, at one point when I was younger, I was very into health and fitness and playing all sorts of sports and really into it. And then I veered off track, took a short kind of time out that lasted for about 8 years. And anyone who knows me well is listening to this podcast laughing to themselves and going, yeah, I fucking remember. But yeah, took a nice little detour out. And I mean, over that period, look, I went to the gym here and there, but I realistically battered my body and mind with all sorts of substances under the sun, and did not consider health and fitness at all. Up until probably, it's mad. It's 4 years ago last week. We came back from a festival in Malta called Lost and Found, and we were there for 2 weeks. Festival in the sun. It was extremely loose. Like I at one point took a fairly bad fall and burst my head open. I actually still have the scar there, the little white line. And burst my head off the ground. And like, looking back on it now, I think it was probably a bit concussed, because I remember being very dazed and not knowing what was going on. And like, you know, if it happened to me now, I'd probably go and see the doc or head to the hospital, or, you know, just get it cleaned up or checked out. But at Lost and Found, like, I was shepherded back to the hotel room and given an anaesthetic that was an unlicensed anaesthetic by a close mate who surely had my best interests at heart. But I mean, that time, that was when everything changed. I remember coming home from that festival and being absolutely, oh man, I was in the pits of depression for 2 weeks. It was horrible. Like, it was the worst. Nightmares, cold sweats, waking up in the middle of the night, like in cold, rainy Galway, going, oh man, this is not what I want to be at with myself. So that was the turning point. And look, it wasn't a cold turkey job at all. It was like slowly over time move more away from that and into health and fitness. So I think initially it was health and fitness. The mindset towards health and fitness probably wasn't one, until maybe 3-4 years ago, and then it became more, okay, this is important. And then it actually went to a point where I probably went a little bit overboard in the health and fitness, and I kind of, to a point, stopped worrying about socialising and social life. And I think now I'm back at a really, really nice place where I've done the extreme of both. And I didn't do the extreme of the kind of health and fitness side of things for too long, but my mindset was definitely like, this is what I have to do. I don't have time or room for anything else. It's not benefiting me. And then as I kind of did that for like 6 months or 8 months, I was like, hang on a second. I went off the drink and stuff as well for ages. And like, that's something we can talk about, like having that work-life balance and like being able to enjoy things, in moderation. But basically, I think that my mindset now towards health and fitness is that like, it is one of the most important parts of my life. I will prioritize it above pretty much everything else. And I will, for the rest of my life, continue to make good nutritional choices, to watch my sleep, to make sure that I'm training, and just to try and progress, because I love it. Not just because I feel that I have to do it, but because I love it and I love the process and I love how I feel and having energy and being confident. And like, again, it comes back to walking around the pool here with a shirt off. Like 4 years ago, when I walked around with my shirt off, I was not at all confident. I felt like, I was nearly worried who was looking at me, or I was like seeing other people who were in good shape or had more muscle than I had or who were bigger than I was, and I was like not at all confident. Whereas now, like, one of the rewards of those 4 years of consistent training has been able to walk around and feel confident and feel good and lie out there and get a tan and not be worrying about who's looking at me, kind of thing. So I think, coming back to the mindset side of it, like the mindset side of it now is that it's such an important part, but also that like there has to be balance as well. And like, if I want to go and have a few beers, sound. Like, if I want to smoke a joint every now and then, sound. Like, and I deal with a lot of clients, and we're all human beings. It's not like, okay, you have to be 100% perfect all the time, because if you're missing out on your social life, or you're missing out on things that you enjoy doing, and I'm not saying that you have to do those things I mentioned, but like for me, I like having a few drinks. I like having a bit of a party every now and then. Yeah. Like, I like being able to socialise. I like letting loose. And it's just gone from being everything in my life to now it's just a small kind of portion every now and then, and I actually enjoy it way more. So yeah, that's how my mindset has changed. But I think it is my number one priority in life at the moment. Yeah. Similar to that.
I suppose we were similar at a young age, and then we kind of diverged and we kind of came back into it again. But as you just mentioned there, like a brief looking at mine briefly, like we were always kind of trying to be the fucking hip kids or cool kids in school when we were younger. So we started drinking at probably a younger age than you should. And I remember I turned to boxing then completely when I was probably 15 or 16. And I always say I went off to drink after that then. So I didn't go, I wasn't socialised or anything for 3 or 4 years. Like when I was 18, I'd say I went out for 18th. I don't know if I was drinking for my 18th. I probably was. I must have been drinking for my 18th. But I didn't drink too many days after that. And then I kind of came back around, and it was all training. That's all I was doing. I was running at fucking lunchtime in school. I was doing all that. And I came back around. I thought that was the only way to go, and that's the way what I had to do. But wanting to get to where I wanted to get to, that's what I had to do, I suppose, at the time. But when I went through college, then I had a bit of I suppose it was a good time, but it definitely brought me back to what really was important, and it was that socialising thing, building good relationships with people, enjoying yourself and getting out and trying new things all the time. It's excellent, and I think that health and fitness is good for this in terms of people think it's just one way. people think that you have to go running on a road, or you have to go running on a treadmill, or do you have to go to the gym and work out. But it's not that at all. Like it's one of my favorite parts of health fitness is being able to go down and play Astro with the lads for an hour, to be able to go down and have the fitness level to be able to continue to play at a high level or a high pace for an hour as Astro soccer now. Or if I want to go for a hike, like we have been here, if I want to go for a hike, I'm not thinking twice about it or what I have to do tomorrow or anything like that, because we've built a good baseline level up at this stage. So I think for me, that mindset has changed in terms of I like to be fit, I like to be healthy, but I have to be mixing it with other stuff. I have to try out new things, rock climbing or surfing or doing anything like that. Ping pong has become the staple over here at the moment. Not that it's a high fitness game, but it has become the staple of sharpness. Anyway, we're really pushing at that recently, and pool even is a new one. But just trying those things out, and I think when you're fit and when you're healthy, your mind is sharp and you pick up things a lot faster. And I think that's one of the biggest things to me, as well, that I've figured out is if I'm fit and I'm healthy and I'm keeping on top of what I have to do in terms of going to the gym or let's say going for a run, going for a hike, doing all that anything else I want to do around that will add in. So like as you were saying, if you want to go to the beach, I'm not thinking about where I have to sit in the beach. I'm not thinking about who's looking at me or anything like that anymore. It's just I don't really care too much about it. And our group of friends are good because we're all very similar to that. But I think one plays off another. When I came out here to Tenerife first, we didn't gym for the first, I'd say 2 weeks. We didn't know gymming at all. We were just out here. We were enjoying ourselves and floating around. And then after a while, you notice very quick that your mental health changes in terms of you're not as energetic in the morning. You're not looking forward to stuff as much. Because you're not challenging yourself. You're living your work-life balance was probably swaying too much on the life side of things, and there was no work side of things. So trying to get that back, and to be honest, I've been lucky now in the last while. I've kind of pulled it back together again. But I think that little change there, or you can definitely sway one side or the other, but it's recognizing it and becoming aware of it and knowing when you're one side, when you're the other side. And I knew when I came out here for the first 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks really, if we're being honest, but I knew that I was swaying too much towards that life side and not enough towards the health and fitness side. And because of that, I wasn't being, anything I was putting up on Instagram, I wasn't feeling that I was, I'm not living this lifestyle right now. So it does play back and it plays in on your mental health, and you're thinking, geez, I'm not in line with what I should be here. So it was nice, in fairness, when you said you were coming over as well. I knew we could be able to swing things back together, but it was nice that I had noticed that at the time, and I was lucky enough to have picked up on it early enough, so I was able to swing it back around again, and we're gymming now all the time, and we're swimming and stuff like that. So I do love that. I love that mindset towards it. I think that, as we were talking about, that balance is so important. But just prioritizing is the only way you're gonna find balance, I think, for this anyway, when you're talking about that.
Yeah, definitely agreed. And just in terms of I think for me, and you kind of touched on it there, you did touch on it, your enjoyment of everything else is enhanced when you're feeling your best. And for me, when I feel my best, you enjoy the simple things more. You just enjoy life itself more, small things, sitting out in the sun, going for a walk. For some people who are not fitness and health orientated and who are not feeling at their best, going out for a walk is a big chore. Yeah. Whereas we were supposed to start this podcast an hour earlier, but we decided we'd go for a walk. So now we're that we're just let's go for a walk, have our coffee, go for a walk. Little things, enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning.
So after you had to pull me up out of the bed.
I should have mentioned that. Yeah, had to get the surgeon in to remove the mattress from your back. But those small things. And again, if you go on holidays and you're not happy or confident in how you look and you don't feel good, how are you supposed to really enjoy your holiday if you're constantly worrying about what other people are thinking, or you're constantly worried about how you look, or whatever it is? And I know that's just me speaking from personal experience, because I used to go on holidays all the time and spend half my time not actually being present and enjoying the holidays. Whereas now it's much, much different. Everything I do, I'm doing because I enjoy it. And I think also that work-life balance side of things is really such an important one, because I've definitely swayed way too far on the life side previously. And now, if I'm being honest, I probably sway a little bit too much on the work side for the most part. Now, I still, as of kind of recently, have been a little bit more life orientated, where I'm actually, you know, if I have a lot of work scheduled and I don't actually feel like doing it, I might go, you know what, I'm just taking 2 hours out of my day to actually go and enjoy life and go and sit and have a coffee somewhere, or go and have a walk, or do something, or go for a swim, you know, and all of these kind of things. So yeah, I think it kind of circles back to, like, if someone is listening to this podcast and they're like, you know what, I'd love to start some sort of a business for myself, or I'd love to have the freedom to travel, or I'd love to have the freedom to not be on someone else's clock, or not have some manager looking at me and telling me what to do. And the reality is, like, it's not easy, because you're going to have to work hard for it, but it's straightforward, you know, like it is a straightforward thing to do, and you just have to look around. But I honestly believe if you are not looking after yourself and your health and your fitness, and if you don't have a good routine with, you know, your exercise, with your eating, with your sleeping, and if you're not prioritizing yourself, I really don't think it's going to be something that's going to be easy for you, because it just does take a lot of kind of commitment, a lot of patience, a lot of work, and a lot of kind of confidence and self-belief as well, because there's plenty of times I felt like throwing in the towel, and I thought, oh, I won't be able to do this, you know. And growth is exponential. It starts small, and you're getting a couple of clients, and, you know, you're working hard to try and just stay afloat at the start, and then things start to improve, and as they start to improve, you know, they improve more quickly. But at the start, you've got to be willing to put in that hustle, and I think having a good foundational level of health and fitness is absolutely imperative to that.
Exactly, and it ties into, like, moving from there, just as you were saying, when you're working with clients, and we're talking about that work-life balance, like the biopsychosocial model, that thing that I'm always pushing. You'll hear it on my podcast that I'm always pushing with clients as well. And it's not that it's the only way to go, but it's definitely it's one way to look at life, and you're looking at your biological, which is your health, your what you're running around it, how you are, like how fit you are, basically. Let's say talk about aerobic, anaerobic fitness, and like your strength, your power, all that crack. You could go real into detail if you wanted it, but that's the biological. Then you have your psychological, which is your mental health, how stressed you are, what your life is like at the moment, just in general, is your mood up or down. They tie together, so you have your bio and psycho, so they're going to tie together, and depending on how fit you are, it's going to be how, a lot of the time, it's going to determine, like, your mood as well. And after a training session, you know, you feel way better. And then you have your social as well, and a lot of people miss out on that social. And your social is basically your relationship with work, your relationship with the people around you, your relationship with your family, and how many friends you have, your social circle and all that. And that actually plays into the health of someone a lot. And I think over the next, let's say 15, 20, 30 years, we're going to figure out how much more that actually plays into your social side of things. And if you leave, like, let's just say if you're leaving that apart, so if you have your biological and you think you have your psychological right in terms of you're training hard and you think you're setting your goals and all that, but as you were saying, if you leave out that social, very quickly that one of those is going to crash very, very fast, because we need other people and we need people around us. And it might not be the psychological that crashes first. This is the interesting part about it, is that you actually could, from having bad relationships with people and not having a social circle and not having security and friends around you, that actually can play back to your biological, and you can start getting severe back pain, you can start getting severe shoulder pain, debilitating knee pain and hip pain and all that. And that you can actually start to get injuries or chronic conditions that weren't there in the first place. So I think in the next couple of years, we're going to figure out how much that social side of things actually plays into the likes of neurological disease, respiratory disease, cardiovascular disease, all of those, because of the fact that they're all intertwined. And I think people are playing too much on that biological. And now it's good that mental health is becoming a bigger issue, and everyone's wondering about that, and it's way more in the limelight at the moment. But let's not forget about that social as well. Mental health is going to be determined by your social. If you're not secure in your friends, and I know in the past, I'm sure I have been in circles that I've just known I'm not supposed to be here. This is my friend group. I don't like the way this group is going, and you transition out of it. But there's a lot of people that are stuck in old friend groups, especially in Ireland. You have to look at that, because you grow up with people around you a lot of the time, and you, like, from where we are, you don't have much choice. Now, I was very lucky with the people around us. I did get on very well with people, and obviously friends have come in and out and that. But I know there's definitely guys out there, and guys that I know, like I actually know myself as well, who are stuck in friend groups at the moment and stuck in circles that they don't want to be in, and it's not in line with their life or their goals. And that's going to take a huge hit on their mental health in the next while. So I think people need to start looking at that social a small bit more and seeing where you can build proper relationships that you're secure in them. I think that's going to be a huge thing, and I'm sure you know it yourself. You've been in situations that you haven't wanted to be there, or you know that's not in line with what you want at the moment, but you're going to just stick it out because you feel that you should be comfortable in a situation that you know another 4 or 5 lads there, even though they're not doing the things that you want to be doing. So I think that's going to be a big one that's going to come up in the next couple of years when we really look into mental health, when we really look into what determines your mental health. We obviously already know how much the physical does, how much being fit does, and keeping a positive outlook and all that does. But really that social circle, and your social circle is going to be massive, and how you deal with it. And it was the reason I started on this, coming back. Included in that social circle is your relationship with work, and what you're like with work, and what you think work is like, and how much you enjoy getting up every day to work. So I don't know if that's in line with what you'll be thinking yourself, but I think that's going to become a bigger thing over the next 10 to 15 years, really looking at that social circle and how it's going to have such an effect on people.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. And like I noticed that myself in terms of like I've been certainly in situations where just the people who around me were not doing things that I wanted myself to be doing, or I was just like, this is not me and this is not what I want. And like that's not at all that they weren't sound people. It's just sometimes there's people who are doing different things and they're on a different path and they have a different outlook, and it's like, this isn't actually helping me. And I think you're dead right in saying, particularly in Ireland, probably because we're a small country, probably because a lot of us stay kind of close to our hometowns and stuff. I suppose as well, like we have a lot of local kind of connection as well, say like the likes of GAA teams and like stuff that's very, very local, and it's, you know, like say family run businesses and stuff as well. Like it's very, very easy to stay at home, like, or to stay in your kind of surrounding areas, and sometimes that's amazing, but like sometimes you, like, you know, myself and yourself, we want to go and see the world, and you know, that's not to say that you wouldn't go back and end up in those same social circles again. But like I know for me, a lot of people growing up with like had no real intention of leaving Lisdoonvarna. Like, you know, and I've met other people who are very similar, kind of in different circles and in different areas, who have no real interest in seeing much of the world, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, then I kind of needed to go, okay, I need to kind of break away, because I have much different views on like what I want to do. I think also it's interesting that you mentioned the social side of things now, because I think even though we are more connected than ever, I think people struggle to socialize, and people struggle to be social with, say, they're very social over a phone or social media, but like actual social connections, actually hanging out with friends, putting your phone away. And that's something that I started doing. Like I try, when I'm with family or when I'm with friends or when I'm with somebody, to give them my full attention and not to be stuck on the phone. Now, like, it's different if you're like, say for example, we are living together here for the week and for next week. So there's certainly in, you know, 2 full weeks, there's going to be periods of time where we're going to be on our phones around each other, and that's, you know, we run online businesses. Of course we're going to be on our phones at some point. But in terms of, if I was to go and meet you for 2 hours of my day, I would be very, very conscious of making sure that I'm giving you my full time and attention, and that I'm not fucking thinking about work or thinking about, you know, because even it's like, oh yeah, just check this for a minute, but then I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about work, and it ties into what you said about that relationship with work. Well, now am I less engaged with you, who's one of my best friends, because I'm thinking about work? And now that's not a good place to be. So I think that's interesting. I think, look, the pandemic hasn't helped at all. It's been a fucking disaster in terms of people being boxed off and not being able to kind of talk to people. But yeah, I think the social side of things is so important. And I've been in situations where I've been missing that myself, and I noticed the knock-on effects are massive on mood, on just enjoyment of life, as almost as big as the knock-on effects of not training or not, you know, looking after myself.
Definitely. And as you said there with the phone, it's going to be a huge thing coming out of lockdown and getting back into the pubs and that, pubs and gyms and all that. But I think that's a huge point on the phone. Is it's such a, like, if you feel awkward in a situation, it's such a takeaway, and it's a great way of doing it. Like, you can really just, it looks, if you see someone on their phone, it looks like they're doing something. It nearly looks like they're actually trying to do something, that they're busy or that. But the majority of the time, someone's just scrolling. They're only scrolling, or they're scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever like that. And it's an awkwardness thing, and it's a habit as well. When one person pulls out their phone, it might be just to check a message. You feel awkward, so you take your phone out straight away and you start looking at it. Just because the other person has it out, you can't feel like, you don't feel like you should be able to sit still and just look around. A lot of people are just too, like, you're awkward to do it. And I'm not saying that a lot of people, because this is me included, like, this is all of us included, I'm sure, is that actually sitting there, and it's a bit, I don't want to say it's liberating or anything like that, but it's definitely a nice feeling when someone does take out the phone and you do just sit back, even if you're at a cafe, and you do just sit back and start to take it in and to look around you, instead of taking out your phone and being comfortable where you are, being comfortable in your skin. You know, like I know if we're sitting together, and I'm sure you know the same thing, is if you put out your phone, he's not going to be on his phone for the rest of the evening. Like, he's doing something that he needs to get done, or he might get caught on Instagram swiping for a small couple of seconds. That's all right, but is that my problem then? Just because he's on his phone, just because Dobbs is on his phone, does that mean I have to take out mine, and that means I should be doing something as well? Or am I able to just sit back and relax and take in the sun, or just sit back and relax and people watch for a while, or anything like that? You know, is it all right to do that, or am I comfortable in doing that in my own head or my own mindset? And I think that's something that people will have to improve on over the next while, especially as we start to transition back into normal life, when we're back into, let's say, cafes and back into the gym and all that. Are we able to just talk to the person? And if we're not talking to them, are we able to just sit there by ourselves? You know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you didn't have a phone, what would you do? You'd sit there and you'd just look around and you'd take note of more stuff, and you'd be more aware, and you'd be more aware of how you're feeling. You'd be more aware of what you're like. So I think that's going to be a huge one. Really, really, I'd say people have enough time spent on electronics over the last year to do them a lifetime with the way we've been locked up. So I think it should be a good thing, or even leaving your phone behind you when you're going out could be a nice change or transition, because it's something that I'm trying to do a bit more. Is if I'm coming downstairs here, we're lucky enough in this house that we have a pool, and there's like a pool table and stuff like that. So if I'm coming down here to leave my phone upstairs, that I don't need it on me.
Yeah.
I don't need it all the time, like. So I think that's a huge one, and it's going to be the first step in starting to build up your relationships again and build up that social side of thing, is actually just leaving the phone behind you and leaving it away. Because although it's great to set things up when you're in the moment, it's not going to keep a conversation going unless you're just showing each other videos on TikTok or showing each other videos on Instagram. So I think that's one way. If we were looking at ways of improving your social life and improving your social side of things, your biopsychosocial, it's just leave the phone behind, leave the phone down for a small while and try work on other things, or try chat to someone instead.
I think something that just popped into my head there as well is, like, if you can combine those things, so your physical training, say, and your social circle, like, that's even more powerful. Like, me and you going to the gym, or me and you going out for a walk, like, we're ticking the boxes. And like I said, when we left this morning, I didn't bring my phone. I left my phone here, and we went for a walk. And I don't think you had your phone either. And we just spoke.
Yeah.
If you did, you didn't take it out. And, like, you know, we just chatted about life. We chatted about what was important to us. We chatted about, like, travel plans. We chatted about different things. You know, we spoke about life.
Yeah.
And if we had been on our phones or showing each other stuff on phones or whatever, you know, and we're not here to demonize phones. We both get extreme value out of our phones. We run online businesses, you know, like there's absolute amazing pros to phone use. But to be honest, if I didn't have an online business, I seriously would consider not having a phone. I seriously would consider it, or having some sort of a phone that, you know, something basic that I can call you and you can call me, but nothing where it's just zapping my energy or my attention. Maybe something that has Spotify for music and podcasts, you know. But I mean, in terms of, would I have Instagram, would I have TikTok, would I have any of these apps? Fuck no. You know, no, I don't think I would. But I mean, maybe Instagram, actually, a personal Instagram, just to kind of take pictures of cool places you've been, because in a way it's a diary, you know, it's a photo diary, but certainly not to scroll through and just look at garbage. Like,
I actually don't use Instagram at all. or it's a funny thing to say because I work on it, but I don't use Instagram, and I nearly never use TikTok, and I definitely don't ever use Facebook. So I actually have an Instagram profile. It's like Rob Caston. I only checked it the other day. The last time I posted on that was 2.5 years ago. So it's not something that I enjoy doing all the time. I don't enjoy social media and looking through it all the time. But as you said, it's a shop front. It's a great way of getting the name out there, and I love that side of things. And I do enjoy working on it. I enjoy building on it and stuff like that. But to actually spend time scrolling through it, I really try to avoid it as much as possible. I have other things now. Not that I'm off my phone completely. I've gone big into looking into like different things. Like obviously you can research a lot of stuff through your phone, looking at crypto and stock markets and stuff like that. And I'm definitely keeping myself interested with my phone, but I try to spend as little time as possible on Instagram and as little time as possible on TikTok, and the same with the rest of them. And I'm starting to LinkedIn now at the moment, so I have to spend a bit more time on LinkedIn just to figure out what it is. But once I figure it out, I won't be spending any time on it after that. It'll just be what I'm using to work, because all we're doing when we're on it is it's a shop front. It's our way of this is where we are, this is what we do, this is how we do it. If you're looking to get in contact with us, this is what you have to do. And that's basically what it is. I've tried not to, I don't really don't look into hashtags that much anymore. I don't even use the explore page. I don't do anything like that, reels, nothing like that. I've completely actually detached myself from that, and I use it specifically as a business. Now I do get caught from time to time scrolling on it, obviously, as anyone does. But I don't purposely take out my phone to go scrolling on Instagram anymore. No. I'm only checking it for something, or I'm going doing something, and that's because of that fact that I know straight away when I go on it, TikTok is the most addictive thing I've ever seen.
And I don't have it, thank fuck. I did have it. I had it briefly last year, and I just got rid of it because I just wasn't. It just didn't serve me in any way at all. I was like, do I really want to see these people doing ridiculous shit? Do I need to see this? Does this actually help me? And the answer was like, no. Does it fuck help me?
Yeah, and I had heard as well that and I don't know how true it is. Obviously, we all know TikTok is a Chinese company. Not that that's any way, shape, or form an insult or anything about it, but it is. It's supposed to be an AI, is what it is. It's supposed to be. They're not even a social media company. It's supposed to be an AI that was developed, and they're trying to figure out learning. That was one thing that I had heard. I don't know how true it is, but if it is true, they've really figured out how to catch attention and grab attention. I don't know how many times in the past that I've taken out my phone, scrolled through it for 10 seconds, and then 20 minutes go by like nothing. 30 minutes go by, because it's so captivating. It's really quick, 10-second videos, 15-second videos. And because of that, I don't feel any better after. I haven't learned anything on it, and I don't feel any better when I come off it. It's drained my energy, and my attention is all over the place then. So trying to get back to work after scrolling on TikTok for 20 minutes it's a bollocks to try figure it out. So that's why I try avoid them as much as possible. Anything that's grabbing your attention and then changes your attention consistently every 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds is not good for your head. And it takes a lot of energy because when you think about it, if you're moving from looking at sports to looking at food to looking at, I don't know, give me something else random.
Anything at all,
anything at all. If your attention is changing that much, your mindset has to change. So your thought process has to change completely. So if it's changing every 15 seconds, that's going to take out so much more energy than you would think. And it's something that I've been looking into with clients, is their screen time and how long they spend on screen. Because a lot of tendinopathies, inflammatory conditions, stuff like that, I feel are associated with not getting enough recovery time because they're mentally fatigued a lot, or their nervous system is completely run down. So I think that's going to be something also that we look into over the next couple of years. So moral of the story, I think, is if you can reduce screen time and increase communicative time with people, I suppose, talking to people, building your relationships, you'll see a huge improvement in your health and your overall well-being. Yeah,
absolutely agreed. Something I want to kind of touch on as well, because we spoke about this morning. McFlurries. Oreo white chocolate McFlurries. So this is a very serious topic. No, but seriously, we had an Oreo and white chocolate McFlurry last night, and fuck me, it was incredible.
I get one now.
It's the first time I've had one, and I actually probably will have another one today if we find ourselves close to McDonald's. But you might be listening to this going, these two boys are into fitness. These two boys run online fitness businesses, and they're talking about McFlurries. And like, I don't know, you've probably come across this, but people have said to me in the past, oh, but you can't eat that.
Yeah.
Like, as if because I'm fit, or, you know, relatively fit, and I train a lot and I look after my health, because of that, I can no longer eat a McFlurry. Like, it's, and I recently started working in a co-working space in Barcelona, and, you know, moved to Barcelona on my own, into a co-working space. So obviously just meeting lots of new people who don't know me, who I don't know, and just kind of, you know, they see me coming in with the lunch boxes of prep food and whatever else, and it's always questions like, oh, on your diet, can you eat this? I'm like, on my diet, I can eat anything I want. Like, I'm not on a diet, and you shouldn't be on a diet that's cutting out anything. Like, you should just improve your eating habits, as opposed to, like, there was one day where, what was it on? I can't think what was on. Oh, it was Easter. So it was like the weekend before Easter Sunday, and the people who run the co-work made like lasagna, and there was like bread and like glasses of wine and all this kind of stuff, kind of like a Spanish style lunch. You know, it was early in the day, like 4 o'clock.
Lasagna, Spanish style lunch.
Or that's Italian. No, but like, sorry, I said Spanish style as in like late lunch with like wine and exactly, as opposed to the lasagna is Italian, isn't it? Right? No, but sorry, I meant more so the structure of the lunch than the ingredients. But basically, like, the amount of fucking people who were like, oh, on your diet, are you able to have lasagna? And they're like, oh, you won't be able to have that, there's cheese in it. And I'm like, these people, like, in the nicest way possible, really have no concept of what it means to have good nutrition, like good nutritional habits, and have no concept of like what a healthy relationship is with your eating behaviors. And it just kind of made me realize that so many people don't understand that. And like, for us, it's fair to say we can eat anything we want, but what we are conscious of is, yes, we can eat a McFlurry anytime we want, but that doesn't mean that you eat it every day. It doesn't mean that you can pay absolute disregard to eating good quality foods. But like, if you have 80% of your diet coming from good quality foods that are going to give you plenty of nutrition, that are going to keep you filled up, that are going to keep you with plenty of energy, and that are going to keep you feeling good, then you should have some flexibility with that last part. And like, again, it's not just the food choices, it's how much you move. Like, if you're going to the gym 4 days a week and you're walking 10,000 steps every day, a McFlurry on a Friday night is no fucking harm to you.
Yeah.
But if you don't budge off the couch, if you don't budge from your chair, you work 9 to 5 sedentary at home, you finish work, you jump on the couch and bang on Netflix. At the weekend, you do a marathon of Netflix and you get a takeaway. Then, yeah, McFlurry is definitely, like, your food habits matter a lot more then.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're out and about, and I hate to say burn it off, because, people, I don't like people to associate exercise with like burning calories, because you see people who are extremely overweight trying to burn it off on the treadmill, and it's like flogging a dead horse, unfortunately. But you do use a lot of those calories, and you will use a lot more based on your lifestyle. And like, I think your lifestyle dictates the food choices that you make. Like, if I looked at my food choices, right, if I was somebody who worked 9 to 5 sedentary, who didn't walk and who didn't train like I do, and I ate my current diet, I would be
slab of shit.
Man, I would be I would be probably obese. Like, I would be way overweight, because I like my food. I like McFlurries. I like chocolate. I like pizza. Like, the same as everyone else does. Any normal person. Like. But in order for me to be able to enjoy those consistently, like, I gotta be someone who's out and about and active and moving. I can't just sit at home and eat those, because we were built to move. Like, our ancestors didn't exercise because they spent their days running after their grub, like. Yeah,
exactly. And I think you made a great point there, and something that we should probably reel back to really quickly is, you were saying if you're gymming 4 days a week, and then you're sitting, and there's nothing wrong with having it on the Friday night as long as you're getting your steps in. But I think some people get caught as well because they're hitting the gym 3 days a week, and then they're still sitting 9 to 5, and they're not getting that NEAT in. They're not getting their NEAT high enough in general. Now, this is your side of things more so than mine, but I was working in gym the last 2.5 years in the Powerhouse in Galway, and it was a big thing that we were pushing with everyone is, like, you are coming here 3 days a week, but you still need to get your steps in. You still need to be actually exercising 1 hour, 3 hours a week is not going to do it for you. You still need to be using the stairs. You still need to be going for a walk in the evening, the odd time. You still need to be trying out new things, playing with your kids, anything like that. Anything that gets the heart rate up is going to be good for you. It's not specifically that you just have to go hitting your 10,000 steps every day. Just make sure that you are using the energy that you're taking in, and that gives you the chance to burn that. Like realistically, when we got that McFlurry yesterday, we were walking up and down the prom for like 30 minutes after it, 40 minutes. So not that we would have burnt a lot of it off, but we had just come out of the gym, so the heart rate was high anyway. So it's not going to be sitting on us straight away. Like we had that few calories to burn, and after that we kept the activity high. We didn't go do nothing. We came back here then, and we were probably messing around and doing a few things. I don't know what we were. Oh no, we didn't go in the pool last night, but all that stuff is going to play into it, and you just need to think, how can you keep your activity high? That walk this morning and the walk that we did last night, I don't know if it would have burnt off all the calories that we took in that McFlurry, but it would have put a nice dent in it. And if you can just keep those nice dents taking over for a long period of time, more so than you do sitting down, you're going to see change. I would say anyway, you're going to see a lot of change in it. But yeah, I think it's just those small decisions when it comes to like my side of things, and you're looking at it and people are saying, Jesus, like I can't exercise because my back is sore, I can't exercise because my knees are sore, anything like that. It's only small changes. No one's asking you because your back is sore, your knees are sore, and if anyone is, they're reckless. But I'm not going to tell anyone that comes to me with a sore knee, right, we're going to go for a 6k run or 10k run. Like, we're not going to do that.
Well, 1 rep max squat.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm going to burn you out on the leg extensions. Like, just stuff like that. Like, it's not going to happen. You're going to progressively increase it over time, and you're going to make consistent change, and just make sure that you're sticking that consistent change. Even if you make a consistent change, but you don't progressively increase it, you're still going to see benefits from that. Really, that comes back to that consistency. Once you have the consistency right, then you progress, I think. And it's the same for fat loss, it's the same for performance, it's the same for injury rehab. It's always going to be the same thing. Find what's making it better, or what's improving or getting you to the goal you want to do. Consistently do that, and then progressively do that over time. And that's how you get to that goal, or that's how you achieve it. That's what I would think anyway when it comes to health and fitness, and when it comes to injury rehab, or it comes to fat loss, or any of those.
Man, I would jump in there and say I would agree with you, but I would also state that is the case for anything. I think, like, consistency, no matter what you want to do, like, consistency is going to be necessary. Like, say for example, and what I thought of there when you were speaking was, like, if I go back on my Instagram page, I think I have like 300 and something posts, and like my initial posts were not very good. You know, my how I kind of put my page together, like, really generic, just eat more kind of fruits and vegetables without really giving people ways to incorporate that into their life. You know, well, it was kind of just information and not overly helpful, but I was consistent, and I like to think that it's improving over time, and I like to think that even in 2 years from now I'll probably look back and go, oh wow, you know, I wasn't as good as I thought I was back then, and there's lots of things that I could work on. But it's literally just consistently doing something, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more habitual it becomes. And consistency breeds more consistency, and then that becomes a habit, and you don't really need to worry about it, and now you can go and try and be consistent with something else. So I think consistency is probably the most important aspect of achieving anything.
Yeah.
Like, you simply can't achieve anything that's lasting without being consistent. Like, you just can't.
Yeah. And even looking at, like, bringing it to looking at, like, let's say the highest performers, like, they can. Michael Jordan, I suppose, is probably an easy one to look at. Like, he was consistently the first at practice and consistently the last one to leave. It's not that he did it 1 or 2 days or decided to do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, he was consistently there all the time. LeBron James is the same thing. Those guys who are performing at the top level, just a lot of them put it back to consistency. Consistency, and obviously thinking about being aware of what you're doing. Like, if you're consistently going to the gym and you're just going on a treadmill and you're running a 5k every day, non-stop, same time and all that, you're going to get a certain level of improvement, and you're going to be very happy with it at the start. It's going to be excellent, but you will plateau at a certain stage because of that. So you need to be aware of when you need to push on a small bit more as well. So consistency is the most important part, is the most pivotal part or vital component of it. But I think you have to be aware of where you are as well. that awareness of what that consistency is leading you to, and then at what point you have to, as you were saying there, look at something else, or like once you have becomes a habit, when can you actually start progressing it? Because you don't want to get stuck in a rut either. No. So it's really important to progress that as well when you are consistent, I think.
Yeah, I think that's such an analogy for life as well. Like, be consistent, and then also look to progress, or look to improve, or look to learn more. And that's not like that, oh, you're not okay the way you are, you need to improve. But like, honestly, from my experience, working on improving all sorts of areas of my life has just made my life much more fulfilling, and like much more enjoyable, and obviously better health, better fitness, better opportunities, more self-belief, more confidence to go after those things. And like, it does come down to just consistently trying to do a little bit better. Consistently trying to, and it's not about being perfect. Like, you're never going to be perfect, and if you shoot for being perfect, you're going to be sadly disappointed. You know, and I think just doing the best with what you have, and over time, if you consistently do the best with what you have becomes better, and then you're doing the best with what you have, but it's slightly better, and it continues to get slightly better. And over time, you know, you build up a base of habits, you build up a base of fitness, you build up a base of knowledge, whatever it is that you're doing, you build up a solid base, and then from that base you jump onto the next thing.
And like, just like thinking about that, why would you do that? Why are you always trying to improve yourself, or what are you trying to do? For us, we're alright, we don't have any children or anything right now, like, so we don't have to focus on that, we don't have to improve that. I know down the road that I will be having children, so I need to have myself set up for that. And I know that I can't help anyone else unless I help myself first. A big reason that I went into like a medical side of things, and a lot of nearly all my family are. My sister's a nurse, my brother's a biomedical engineer, my younger sister's doing medicine, my younger brother is probably going to go into some side of things, not that he will or he won't, but it looks like he will, because he's very interested in health at the moment. I really do enjoy, and it's not being, if it can, I don't know how you'd say it, I do enjoy helping other people. I really do enjoy that. Like, I actually get a lot of fulfillment out of helping other people, whether it be mates or family or friends or clients or anything like that. But you can't help other people unless you've helped yourself first. So it was something that they always told us when I went into my masters. They said, you can try help everyone in the world. You could try help, but you will burn out very fast, and it's going to take from you. So if you don't put yourself in the right position and you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. And it's something that I always think about in terms of right now, in the situation I'm in, we are quote unquote lucky to get here and lucky to be here and all that. But if I don't keep gymming, if I don't keep on top of my mobility stuff, if I don't keep on top of like working out and learning new things, then I can't serve the people that are, let's say, following me or listening to me. I can't give them any value. And if I do give value, you very quickly turn, and this is one thing I think we should mention on the fact of running a business, a fitness business, is that very fast, when you're not doing what you say you're doing, when you're telling other people to do something but you're not doing it yourself, very quickly you find out that you're not in line with that, and very fast then you're not happy with what's going on. You're not happy with yourself because you're living I suppose like a fake lifestyle. And I'm sure, like, we're okay because we're in a business, but I'm sure there's a lot of influencers out there who are really struggling mentally because they're putting out a different way that they are completely, and they're trying to live an opposite life. You know, they're putting out that everything's perfect, and then they're just going back to their normal lives and trying to live like that. Something that I try not to do at all anymore on Instagram is really, I try to push what I'm learning about what I'm doing myself, because it's something I know about and I value. And I obviously look at other people and look what they're doing as well, try to put that out there and bring as much value as possible. But I find that if you aren't in line with who you are putting out there, there's a word for it, I can't think of what the word is.
Imposter syndrome.
Is imposter syndrome, is that what it is? Yeah.
Where you don't feel like, I'm not 100% sure if that covers, but I know exactly what you mean. Where, and like, look, I think I'm lucky enough, right? So here's the deal. I'm lucky enough that a lot of my clients would have known me from the glory days, and I have told them straight up when they're signing up, if you go out at the weekend and you absolutely tear the bag out of it and you lose the rag altogether, tell me. I won't care. I won't care at all. I'll just go, I understand entirely. I've been there. I've done that. Advice, like, on Easter Sunday, I ate way more food than I should have, and I had been telling my clients to eat in moderation. So I felt then, I was like, I'm telling my clients to do this, but I didn't manage to do it this year. And very often I will manage to do it, but that one time. So what I did was I basically recorded a video on what I ate, and I was just like, look, it's one day. I also went overboard today. So I think once you're like, and once I made that video and I was just like really open and like, this is, look, we're all human, we all make these mistakes. Like, that just felt great. I was like, oh, there's actually great value for people here. But had I not said that, that's exactly how I would have felt. And that's why I would say it anyway, because honesty is something that's important to me. But I know for a fact, if I had not come back to my clients and said, well, look, I also ate more than I planned on Easter Sunday, it is what it is, don't worry about it, then I would have felt terrible, because like you say, I would be saying one thing and not actually doing it myself. And I think that's another thing. People expect us maybe to be like perfect, and like all the information that I put out to people in terms of like having routine and having structure and whatever it is that I'm trying to teach people about, because I'm teaching you about it doesn't mean that I am 100% perfect with it all the time. And like anyone, I strive for consistency, right? So a lot of the things that I do, say like reading, I encourage clients to read each day. I encourage clients to turn off their phones at a certain time. I encourage clients to try and get out of bed at the same time. And like all of those things I do fairly consistently, but like, of course there's days where they don't happen. Of course there's days where I eat more food than I should. Of course there's days where I end up having a few drinks with friends. Like, all of these things are just normal and part and parcel, and they're always going to be there. And I think people kind of nearly expect you to be perfect all the time. And I think because Instagram and these other apps like portray everyone to be perfect, that's kind of like, maybe not the standard, but it's expected that, if you're on Instagram you got to be perfect. Whereas like, I go on to talk my stories with a fucking like hair all over the place, like two hairy fuckers here, like like no filter, like big pasty white Irishman, like none of that fucking bollocks, because I hate that shit so much. But like, I just think it's so important to actually be yourself and let people know that like, I'm actually, we're normal people as well. We're not perfect, and like, we don't need to be perfect. You can be really fit, really healthy. You can do all of these things, and you can still not be perfect. And you're not going to be perfect. Imagine we planned to be perfect from now on for the rest of our days. Jesus, what a fucking miserable existence.
You'd be depressed. You couldn't do it. Like, you'd be depressed trying to figure out what you're doing wrong, because you'd find fault in so many things if you were looking for that. And just touching on what you said there. And I think it's something that I'd like to go into a bit of detail on, would be, I said to you there, or you said honesty is one of the most important things. And I think it does come back to that. I think that's what I was trying to get at, is when you're not in line with your values, you'll find yourself really falling all over the place. And having a certain set of values, core values, I think honesty is one of the most important things. For myself anyway, having good health, like, I really value good health, and I really value being in good shape. And that's another big one for me. So once I started noticing myself going out of shape, I know that there's things that are out of line in my life at the moment, and I need to start getting them back into line. And I think having a value structure, it really helps you stay in line with what you want. And your values can change over time, but having that structure itself, knowing what you're looking towards and knowing what you're trying to get to, and what the type of person that you want to be, it makes it a lot easier. So my value structure is not to be perfect, even though I have been like that in the past. I've had a value of, I need to be perfect, I need to look perfect, and that when I'm out talking to people, I need to not fuck up what I'm saying. I need to be making sure that what I'm getting across to them, it makes it look like the person that I am. I've definitely been like that in the past, and it's something that's fading away very slowly for me. I'm really trying to get rid of that type of mindset of everything needs to be perfect all the time, and you need to be doing the right thing all the time, and sticking to value things that I like. So like as I was saying there, honesty is a huge one. Another one, keeping good health, learning. I really value learning and trying to upgrade myself. And I think it comes back to that. It's not even learning itself. I love learning, but I think it's actually trying to improve myself. That's something that I really value as well, all the time, whether it be health, whether it be bio, psycho, social, whatever it is. That they're just a few things that I make sure I always keep core values of what I'm doing. And I think there's ones in the past that I've had as well that I'm trying to get rid of. As I said, that perfectionism is one. I think I valued a lot of the time pride in the past as well, and I think pride lines up with ego a bit too much. And I think I think there's definitely a position of being proud of where you're from and proud of who you are and all that, and I think that's excellent. But once it starts getting into the ego side of things, that you're better than someone else, or that you feel that you're a certain person, or how would you describe it? How would you describe what the ego is? What's the easiest way to describe the ego?
Pretty much well described there. You feel that you're better than somebody else, or you're kind of feeding your ego, where, you know, if you get, I guess, nice compliments or whatever, you're just feeding those, say I am, and you're building yourself up. But I think that also leaves you very open to negative things, that if you build yourself up with, like, say something's like likes on Instagram, right? Say you get loads of likes on an Instagram post, or loads of comments, and people are messaging you, and you're thinking, I'm great, I'm top of the world, and that's feeding your ego, that I'm the man kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think when you do that, it leaves you open to the day when you don't get a good response, or nobody likes or comments or shares or anything on your post, and then your ego takes a hit, and you're, you know, second guessing yourself and all of this other stuff. And I used to do that as well, and now I really, like, in the most respectful way possible, don't give a fuck about, like, likes or things and that. And look, if I'm not getting kind of likes or good feedback on my posts, I'm not going to take that personally. I'll just go, okay, maybe my content needs to improve a little bit, you know, or if people are not engaging with my content, or people are not, you know, engaging with my page. And that's just one example. Like, if it was ego, it would be about me, but it's not about me. It's about, okay, well, am I helping these people or not?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to actually do something different here. And it's not because I want to get more likes. It's like, okay, well, these likes are a metric of how well I'm doing my job. You know, so I think how you frame things as well. And yeah, I mean, the ego can be just you thinking that you're better than others, or thinking that you're entitled more, yeah, exactly, more entitled to things than you are, when the reality is that we're on an even keel, like, and you know, you got to work for what you get. And I think it is, look at it, like, pride for me, I'm extremely proud of the fact that I've kind of changed the direction of my life. I'm very proud that I've been able to set goals and hit them, you know, but that doesn't make me any better than anybody else, you know. Yeah. Like, there was a point where, and again, you mentioned this earlier and I didn't touch on it, I've had a lot of mentors and I've had a lot of people to help me, you know, and if they had an ego and didn't want to help me, I wouldn't have got their help, kind of thing, you know. And it's like you say, if anyone is listening into this podcast, and were to message me, I think if I was egotistical and thinking that way, people might message you, might go, oh, what are they messaging me for, kind of thing, you know. That might be a way that you would look at it if you were egotistical. Whereas I openly welcome, and I'd love for somebody to write a message off the back of this podcast and say, hey, I have this idea, nothing to do with fitness, but I'd love to hear your take, or like, if I could help. And you know, if it's outside of fitness, I may very well not be of any use, but I might be able to point them in the right direction, or give them some resources, some books to listen to, or to read, you know, or audiobooks to listen to, or podcasts to listen to, or just people to follow, or just even some bit of motivation to go and do that. You know, not be egotistical and think that I'm better than this person. I'm just further along because I started sooner than this person. Yeah. This person is also no better than me. We're equals, you know, and I think that's important too, that you recognise that I'm no better than anyone else, but no one else is any better than me either. Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said that. When I was talking about pride there, when I did mention pride, like, I'm obviously very proud of where I am, and very proud of how I've done. But it's when that pride mixes in with the ego that you can't be wrong then, is kind of what I was getting at. It's very easy to be proud, and it's excellent to be proud of where you are. But when it starts to mix in with the ego, and then you're so proud of where you've got to that you can't be wrong anymore, then that's going to take a huge hit on everything around you, and your relationships with people around you as well. Because, like, I know a lot of guys and girls who, and I'm probably one of them as well at times, who will fight tooth and nail for something completely out, like, even if they were wrong. Like, now it's something that I'm trying to get. Like, I have mates, like,
And I'm sure, I know I don't think I'm like this anymore, but I have mates that I could show them that they're wrong, like as in I could show them the thing that they're wrong, but they will be right in their own head. And it's finding, becoming aware that everyone is like that in some way or another. And it's the awareness of that thought process, because I think becoming aware of how you think is really important. I think becoming aware of what leads you to think certain ways, what you're like in certain situations, like what you're like with groups or what you're like with individuals, what you're like when you're angry, when you're stressed, all those are going to be huge. And becoming aware of those thought processes and how they're dictating what you're thinking at the moment is going to be really important. Because if I'm trying to think of an example now of something that happened to us recently, but like you can see how, like you could see how if you get stuck in a rut or stuck in a position, and I'm only thinking about we moved in the last day in the room situation and all that.
Yeah.
Do you know when you get stuck in a rut, like, and you're just stout, like, and you want to figure out, like, you want things, so you don't care about anyone else's opinion, and then you're just completely driving your own opinion all the time. When you get stuck like that, I think that's really what I mean when I'm talking about pride. But I think pride is probably the wrong word, and it's more to do with ego and having an ego and being able to accept when you're wrong, being able to take it when you're wrong, and taking something when you're wrong and then turning around, learning about it, and coming back with a better, not an argument, but a better point or a better point of view on something is really important. But the only way you can do that is to become aware first of where you were wrong and what the thought process was to leading you wrong in the first place.
Yeah, like how can you ever learn if you're never wrong?
Yeah.
That's something as well I say to clients. They're like, oh, what if I make a mistake? Well, I'm like, you literally can't make a mistake, because if you do, you're going to learn from it. So making a mistake is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
So they're worried about, oh, what if I get this wrong? What if I make a poor nutritional mistake? What about if, this is not as it should be? I'm like, brilliant. There's a lesson. So you just go, okay, fuck it. Could have done this a different way. This didn't work. Okay. So Easter Sunday, which I mentioned as well, of overeating. Basically, I'll tell you the story because it's kind of interesting, and I broke this down with Ryan, my coach, and we kind of talked about it. And basically, what happened was, every single day for like 4 months, I had hit like 10,000 steps plus for like 120 or 30 days, like on the bounce, and like my average was like 17,000. So an insane amount of walking, almost to the point where it was too much walking nearly, because that's a seriously high kind of step count to be having. Yeah. But anyway, what happened was I had a little ankle niggle, little injury. Nothing major, just something that needed some rest. And I thought, you know what, Easter Sunday, I am going to rest up and recover for the day, Easter Sunday. And this is also interesting because I never, like the last time I stayed at home for the day, I can't remember. It's been years. Like it's the last time I stayed at home or like just stayed in the house. And like it's honestly years. I can't remember the last time I did it. It was probably after a party years ago, where I just lay in the house all day. So basically, anyway, Easter Sunday was planned out to be a day where, okay, I'm going to absolutely relax, kick back, put my feet up, and, wasn't planning to like eat excessively. Just said, right, I'll have a nice day, chill, relax. Man, I just didn't know what to do with myself being in the house. Like I was so bad at chilling out for the day, and I watched like a few episodes of the Tommy Tiernan show, and I watched some stuff on TV, but like I'm not a big TV fan, and I basically sat there, and it was a horrible day, and I had nothing else to do, and I felt like shit because I wasn't out and about and moving, and I just ended up eating all day. And like that was so interesting to me. I was like, I'm actually not very good at doing nothing. Like that's and I was like, and I also, like, this totally backfired, that this was supposed to be a day of kind of recovery and rest. And what actually happened was I ended up stressing myself out because I was like, oh, I fucking ate so much food and I fucking did nothing all day and it was a waste of a day and this is a day of my life that I'll never get back and all these things. And, like, that was just, it was so interesting. When I talked through it with Ryan, he was like, so when was the last time that you just chilled out at home for the day? And I was like, I can't remember. Like, I don't remember ever. Yes, I remember doing it, but it was normally when I was hungover as fuck. Yeah. And, like, just lying on the couch smoking joints all day, like, back in the day. Yeah. Where that was a regular occurrence. But, I mean, since I started looking after myself, I can't remember the last time that I spent the whole day in the house. Like, and it was just a weird one. But, again, I got it completely wrong. I fucked it up. But I realised that oh, okay, now I've learned something. I've learned that I'm not very good at doing nothing. I don't particularly enjoy doing nothing. And, you know, the next time, maybe I'll plan my day a bit better where I have a relaxing day, but I go to the gym, I use the sauna, I go for a walk, I go for a swim, I do go and do some meditation. Like, I learn from it somehow. And listen, I might not get it right the next time, but again, I've learned a little bit more, and I've learned a little bit more about myself. And I also learned about how to deal with, like, just getting over that and just going, okay, fuck it, I actually don't, who cares, one day, back to business, which is something that I know, but again, we're human, we still feel these things.
Yeah, and it's the emotions that take over there as well. What you were saying there about actually being able to let go is as important as nearly being consistent. And that's why when we were talking about that, like talking about social circles and that at the start, like, you have to, if you're in a circle that you don't enjoy, if you're in a place that you're not comfortable with, you have to be able to let go, and you have to be able to cut it off. And I think that's something that people, it's important to learn to be able to do that, to be able to let go as much as it is to be able to dive in. Because I think, like, the same thing is, like, I know a lot of people who delete their Instagram for, you know, they might delete their Instagram for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and stuff like that, and that's excellent. And I definitely would recommend people to do that. I definitely recommend to be able to let go, because, you know, like, we are, whether you like it or not, we are addicted to it. And, you know, there is definitely a level of addiction there. It might not be a full blown addiction, but there definitely is a level of addiction there to let's say, even you could, if you want to go to the neurobiology, but like the dopamine hit every time you're on it and you're swiping. So being actually able to cut it off and delete it and not use it for a week and being able to let go is just one small thing. And you'll find that you can use that mindset of being able to let go of Instagram for 1 week, and you can transfer that to other things. So it might be that every Friday night or every Wednesday night, if you're watching Champions League, that you have 3 or 4 drinks or 4 or 5 drinks. You could easily let that and cut that back, bring that back to 1 or 2 drinks, or cut it out completely. It's a habit that you formed over time, and becoming aware of it and actually watching yourself and saying, well, tonight I'm not going to do that. Like, tonight we're going to relax. Like, I know we were watching Champions League last Tuesday, or we were watching Liverpool. Was it Tuesday? Was it last week? Sorry, yeah, Liverpool playing.
Last week, I wasn't here.
Before you were here.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at a bar watching it. Basically, we were at a restaurant because we were eating out, and I was in the situation. I was like, all right, we put down a hard weekend the week before that. Like, we were drinking and we were like doing a lot of stuff. We were at like a bit of a festival, and we were doing a few things. And oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. It wasn't Champions League. It was a couple of nights ago when you were here, because we went out the weekend.
Oh yeah. So it was man, what game was that even?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. But anyway, we were at a restaurant.
Oh, it was the night with Gary Neville and Carragher going mad over the Super League.
Oh, that's exactly what
so whatever game was on
that night. But we were at the pub before that, and I remember saying, because we had been out that weekend, I wanted to get my head right. I wanted to get my head straight again. So I wanted to be sure that I'm going to, like, not drink or anything like that. So I basically, so Monday came, grand, knew anything was chilling, and got to the restaurant. I should stop saying pub. Got to the restaurant on Tuesday evening, and we were sitting down, and out of habit, I was just about to order a beer because everyone else was getting them around. Yeah. So it was nearly just a habit. Oh yeah, give us one more. And it was only you that said it to you. I said, are you gonna have one? You were like, oh, I don't know, like, we might just chill out this evening, like. And it was just in that instant, that's all we needed, is just being able to let go of that and just say, right, I don't need to be involved.
The Coke Zeros.
Yeah, with the Coke Zeros.
Man, Coke Zero's a lifesaver. Like, I always, it's my way out of drinking a lot of the time. If people around me are having drinks and I'm not wanting it, and I don't drink that frequently these days, like, so I often do go for the Coke Zero or for the sugar-free drink, and it's something nice. Like, I enjoy it more than I enjoy a pint.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love the flavour. But just being able, in that situation, of becoming more aware of it for 1 second, and then just making the decision for that second of letting it go, of just saying, right, no, I don't need to join this group right now. And then, like, whatever difference, you know, maybe they had 3 or 4, or maybe 2 or 3. I don't know how many they had, but you're not that disconnected once you've realised it. It's just you feel that you're not part of the group before you do it. But it's before it. But once you actually don't do it, you're just chilling there. There's no difference at all.
Yeah, and no one else cares.
No one else gives a shit. That's the thing, like. So I think becoming aware of that is really important. Becoming aware of how you are in those situations, and being actually able to step back when you need to step back, I think it's a really good lesson to and it's something I do to all my clients as well. I'd be like, if you are training with a team and you're training, like they're training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you have a match on Sunday, but then the lads want to go gym on Tuesday, Thursday, and then they want to go for like a swim, or they want to do something on the Saturday, or hike or something on Saturday. It's like, you can do that, but don't expect to be able to do that the next 4 weeks of the season. In 3 weeks time, if you do that, most likely something's going to act up, because the body can't handle that type of stuff. So I'm just telling them it's all right to take a step back and say at training, all right, I'm going to step out with this tonight. I'm going to step it out because we've everything else covered. It's like, you don't have to worry about that. We're still going to be in a position to start. You just need to be able to step back and actually relax, and you don't have to be part of absolutely everything. People get FOMO as well, like that fear of missing out.
Man, I'm telling you, yeah. Like, people, I'm definitely one of those people as well. Fear of missing out is a real thing, but like, and the grass is always greener, right? Like, always. The grass is always greener. Here's one for you. The grass is fucking the same everywhere. Like, you make it what it is. It's if you reckon the grass is greener for you somewhere else, you know, you're probably not optimizing what you could be doing with where you are currently, because the only time you really have is the present moment. Like, the only time we have and we're actually living is right now.
Yeah.
Like, and that was 5 seconds ago. That's gone now. But and again, when I said that, that's gone. So we're literally just living this right now. And if we're worrying about the grass being greener somewhere else, are we really living and doing the best that we can here? Yes, have plans. Yes, you know, want to go and see the world. And yes, there's definitely places that are better than others. But don't just sit and kind of think about other places being better. Like, you have to make your own choices.
Yeah, and change is good. Like, we're out here, like, it's funny, you could say that and then be like, well, it's easy for you to say because you're out in Tenerife at the moment, or you're living in Spain at the moment and stuff like that. And the grass was obviously greener before we left. Like, but it's like, really, it's not that much difference to being at home. Like, there's really no difference. It's definitely not greener, but it's a change. At home, for the last, like, let's say, obviously I've been doing it for the last couple of years, but for the last 4, 5 months, 6 months even, before I came out here, all I did is I did a bit of training, and I just went into the room and I worked every single day so I could be able to do this when I'm out here. And at the time, if I'm being honest, I actually really enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed doing that every day. I knew I was building up for something else. It's not that Tenerife was going to be better, but it was going to be a change from the lifestyle that I was living. So it's not that I said, oh, I'm going to come out here now and just tear it up and really enjoy myself out here. I knew I was going to enjoy myself out here because I was out here with friends, but I did enjoy myself in what I was doing back in Ireland. I did enjoy working every day and going into the room and working on something, building something for myself. I enjoyed that just as much as I've enjoyed being out here. And I don't think there's any two ways about it. Like, it's enjoying what you're doing, knowing that you're working towards something. This was my goal. So when I was back there working for those, 10 hours a day, or 8-10 hours, it was definitely like I had this in mind, grand. But I was still enjoying every minute of what I was doing back there. And I'm enjoying every minute of being out here as well. So it's not that it's grass is greener, but there's definitely change is good at times.
100%. And I think that kind of covers us and wraps us up, because we're coming close to the 11 o'clock mark, which is our cut-off point. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good lesson. Make sure that whatever you're doing, like, try and enjoy it. And if what you're currently doing is not enjoyable, find a way to make it enjoyable. If you're doing a job that you hate, then turn that job into something that can free you from it. So use the time, use the hours that you're getting, work hard, and then put the money that you earn from that job into something else, or into changing career, or into starting your own business, or into moving country, or into whatever it is. Like, you just sit and don't enjoy what you're doing, of course you're not going to enjoy it. But if you use that as a strategy and as part of the plan, then it becomes much more enjoyable. All of a sudden you're excited, you're hustling.
Yeah, exactly, and you're working towards something. I think that's an excellent point to leave it on.
Let's leave it there.
Perfect.
That's her. Man, we could talk for 4 hours more.
Easy.
It's probably a good thing that we have a
time limit.
Right? This podcast is probably going to go up on both of our podcasts, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye to my listeners.
I'm going to say goodbye to my listeners.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. Completely off the cuff. I really, really enjoyed having a podcast without specific limitations or specific
was
guidelines,
nice.
and we should do it more. But let's hope that everyone else enjoyed it as much as I did. And Robbie, thanks so much for setting up the mic and the laptop, and really enjoyed it.
No, and it's the exact same, guys. Thanks a million for listening in, and thanks a million. It's Eoin Dobbin coaching. I never said at the start is the man that you're looking for here. So yeah, thanks a million for coming over. I'm delighted that you came, and I will leave it on that. So if anyone listening to it, obviously make sure, guys, you subscribe and you rate the podcast and leave any comments, anything that we've talked about in this podcast that you'd like to talk about further with us. Definitely get in contact with either of us. It's Eoin Dobbin Coaching on Instagram, and it's Mobility Tutor on Instagram for myself. So thanks a million, guys. Chat to you again soon. Have a good one.